Welcome to
You Matter
in Business.
Your hosts today are Ariel and Miriam, your brand, your story, and your success.
Because you matter in your business. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ariel.
Hi, I'm Miriam.
And we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and why we decided to start this podcast in the first place.
I'm excited about this, Ariel. This is great.
Yes, and we're really hoping that we bring the audience a lot of good content, a lot of good inspiration, and all that fun stuff. So before we get into the meat of the podcast, I thought we would have some fun because I am from Florida. We're both Florida based, but I've lived in California, I've lived in the Midwest, I've lived in New England, and now I'm in Florida. So I kind of have a diverse understanding of life. And now, Miriam, where does your diversity come from?
Well, I'm quite obviously not American. So I'm from the UK. I come from a coastal area in the UK, which is down in the southwest, which is very touristy, very beautiful, and surrounded by water. So that's where I'm based. And well, not based, that's where I come from. Now I'm based in Florida, but I have lived in Maryland for the last 18 months. So I've only been in Florida for the last 6 months. So yeah, global.
Experience is wide. Okay, so we're going to start with just some interesting questions. And then we're going to talk about the what's and the whys of these questions. So the first question is, are you ready?
I'm ready. Go for it.
Red or white?
Both. But if I had to choose, probably white.
Okay.
And you, red or white?
If I had to choose, I would say white too.
Okay, that's cool.
But why do you choose white?
Why don't people like? If it's a cool winter's evening in the UK, I would go for red because it's much more warming. But generally, I would go for white. I think it's probably because it's less calorific. But I like the refreshing coolness of drinking white wine. And you?
I like sweet wine, so I generally drink the whiter or rosé wine. Okay. So in terms of wine, I'm definitely more of a white, but not the bitter white. But I love...
But we both interpreted it as wine. Is that a problem?
No, not at all. I think a lot of people will interpret that as wine, to be totally honest. One of the things about white that I personally love and is very important to me as a human being is white is a very pure color.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that's your photographic background, though, isn't it? Yeah.
There's just, and being pure and clean, and that's just part of, you get into core values. That's one of them. So just say.
I agree. Okay.
Are you ready for the next one?
Okay. Let me ask you this one then.
Okay.
Cat or dog?
Definitely cat.
And any particular reason why you go for a cat, Irene?
Yes, very much so. So I really have this theory that women are more like cats and men are more like dogs.
How interesting.
But cats are like self-sufficient, and they're moody, but in not a bad way. They're like, I want to be loved or I don't want to be loved. And I'm okay with either one, but they're really loving when they're loving. And I think we tend to be that with the hormones and problems and kids and all that fun stuff. We tend to be like, go away, come here, go away.
Yeah.
I'm not in the mood right now, that kind of stuff. Warm me up.
I've never had a cat, but they always seem to me that they only love you on their terms. And yeah, they only come back for food. And they only love you when they want food. But maybe that's right. I'm not a cat person. I'm definitely a dog person. I've got two dogs, two spaniels, and they love you all the time, completely unconditionally, and always want to be near you, and they're very loyal. But yeah, interesting.
My introvertness doesn't appreciate that. I don't want you to need me 24/7. I like you to need me sometimes, but not all the time. Thus the cat.
Yeah. Okay. Fair one.
And they purr. Dogs don't
they
bark and poop.
cats poo too.
Yeah, they do, but they cover it up. Bury it. Anyway. All right.
They're going to box in the corner.
Only if they're inside. Mine are outside. I have too many cats. Not by choice. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Summer or winter? Funny question for a Floridian.
Yeah. So, sorry that I came up with that question. So definitely summer for me, but I love the different seasons, which obviously you don't get in Florida. You do in Maryland and you do in the UK, very definitely. But I hate being cold, really, really hate being cold. So Florida's good because it seems to be this perpetual summer. It's either hot or very hot. But yeah, I'm getting used to it. But I think I am going to miss the different seasons. People tell me that you do get an autumn, fall, and a kind of a spring, but I don't know. What about you? Summer or winter?
I'm kind of on the fence on this one, and I will tell you why. I used to be a summer warm person, 100%. And I mean, I like winter for some things. Of course, we don't have the same winters as the up north winters. But the older I get, the more menopausal things happen, the more I can't handle heat. So the summers are a little more than I can handle sometimes, especially here.
Yeah.
And I've been here almost 30 years, so I do miss the season. So I go up to like the mountains during autumn. And I haven't been in winter in a really long time though. I love snow and snowflakes, and photographing frozen bubbles sounds like a really crazy thing, but it's really fun.
I like that.
I mean, there might be one night out of the year that I can, like at 3 a.m, get up and try to do it. So anyway.
We went to last year because we were living in Maryland. We went up to Pennsylvania and went to the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania, and it was in the snow and it was absolutely beautiful. I can fully recommend it. I do like excursions into the snow, but I don't like being cold all the time. But yeah, snow can be really beautiful. Yeah.
I used to be an avid skier, so that's why I liked snow. But kind of hard to do that in Florida. Just saying.
Very hard to do that in Florida.
I came down here to water ski, but didn't realize that.
There are things called alligators in the water.
Yeah, there are.
That's what worries me about doing anything like paddleboarding. What happens if you fall in and there's... Hello.
You only paddleboard in areas that are like, there's certain areas that are much better to paddleboard than others. So that's the key to that. You don't go to Lake Monroe, which is in Sanford, Florida, or Jessup. Just if anybody knows Florida, those two lakes are literally filled with alligator seep, and you never see boats on those lakes.
Funny that.
There's a reason. I didn't know that when I first moved here. As I went water skiing on Lake Monroe. Oh, well.
Oh, well, you live to see another day. Bless you.
Okay, next question.
So, morning or evening? I think I know this one about you.
Okay, wait, which one?
I don't think you're a morning person.
No, I'm actually brain dead in the morning.
Me too. My mornings are not for me at all. I can't stand early mornings, but evenings I can work right late into the evening, and that's fine. But not a morning. No, it takes me hours.
Yeah, it's like my brain doesn't even start for like 3 or 4 hours after I wake up. It's really weird. It's just like in this. Anyway, and other people wake up and they're like super alive. That's not me.
Now, I've recently taken up running, and my ideal is to get up and go out running straight away. But it kind of wanes off after a while because I'm just like, I just don't want to get up in the morning and do that. I have to really force myself to do it, but I do it. But I really have to force myself. Anyway, there you go. No, definitely both this evening. Cool.
I don't need to think when I go on a walk though, so I'm okay in the morning.
Yeah. That's true.
Same route. I don't really deviate too much. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Salty or sweet?
definitely salty.
Oh,
You?
interesting. Definitely sweet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, give me a jar of olives any day over a bar of chocolate. I do like chocolate, and chocolate's one of those comfort eating things, isn't it? But I would much rather have, if there's on the menu, if there is cheese and biscuits. Oh, you don't call them that. Sorry, I like crackers. Okay. Then- it's a whole different language.
Yes, it is.
Because I would choose that over key lime pie. Sorry. What about you? What would you have for it?
I would definitely choose the key lime pie over the cheese and crackers. Definitely. Cheese and biscuits.
Cheese and biscuits. But biscuits for you. But aren't biscuits like what I would call scones? Because I call... Go on.
So what is a biscuit? Is a cracker, what we call crackers. See, this is an educational program where we teach people the difference between English and English.
Break down the barriers between the British and the American.
Part of the reason we thought this would be a fun podcast is because we come from such different perspectives. And that's why we're doing this, quick fire questions, because we come from such different point of views, but we basically work towards the same goal. So it really makes the experience for our audience, I think it'll be more fun because we do come from such different perspectives, including the way we speak, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but that language barrier. So biscuits to me, biscuits are the crackers that you would have with cheese, but biscuits are also cookies. We don't call them cookies, we call them biscuits. But biscuits for you are what we call scones.
Yeah.
But you have savory scones or biscuits and sweet biscuits so that because sometimes you have them with gravy.
Yeah, that's what I would call a biscuit, right? Gravies and biscuits. That's they're usually round, sometimes flaky. And then the scones are the triangle things that are more like, I don't know what they're like, but because I don't eat them, but
okay.
They do have scones here, but it comes from England, but they're triangles.
No, we would never have triangles. The only thing we have triangles for is when we're having high tea and we have cucumber sandwiches and we cut the crusts off and cut them into triangles.
I've got to have high tea.
Oh, bless. Okay. So tell me, what about dream job or lottery win?
Dream job, 100%.
So if you won the lottery, would you give up working?
Well, how much do I win in the lottery?
Okay. Well, I'm guessing if you won where it gets up to next to $1 billion, you probably wouldn't work again. But if you only won, let's say only 3 or 4 million.
Only 3 or 4 million.
Yeah.
Well, I would never personally play the lottery, just saying. So that's probably one of the reasons I answered the other way, but because I don't like risks that are a waste of money.
Okay, fair one.
It's a really, really small percentage of people who win, and they're just wasting. Most people are just wasting their money and paying. And then most people who win the lottery have a horrible life because they don't know how to manage money. So I still think if I did win or inherited or whatever, a large sum of money, I would be very strategic with it just because of my nature. I would probably try to create a business for my kids to thrive or, something more than me because I don't need to live like a millionaire, nor do I want to. So, but, having a house in the Caribbean would be really nice to go visit. So, there's a piece of you that would be taking care of a few things.
You'd buy a house, surely you'd buy a house in the Dominican, wouldn't you? Isn't that where your history is?
I would definitely buy a house in the Dominican. I would have it built, actually.
Oh,
ocean.
Oh, nice.
And it wouldn't even be that much.
No, probably not in the Dominican.
As much as you buy a normal house here, I could build a very nice place on the ocean in the Dominican.
Wow. Well, I'm going to stay friends with you because I'm going to go and stay in your Dominican.
Okay. So what about you? Dream job or lottery win?
Well, I have won the lottery.
Really?
Yeah.
In the United States?
No. But only a very, very small amount. But so in the UK, you get five numbers. So it's 6 numbers plus the bonus ball. And this is way back when. I don't know whether it's still the same now, but this is it was only a few months after the lottery had started in the UK. And everyone was buying it because it was super new and it was exciting. And I was at university and had absolutely no money. But this is really embarrassing, but me and my best friend who I lived with, we would split the £1 ticket. She would pay 50p and I would pay 50p and we would buy a ticket. And we would say, okay, we're gonna split the winnings. And we had an argument one week and we didn't do it. And I bought the ticket on my own and I won. And I didn't split the money. And that reveals a lot about me, doesn't it? And we're still very, very good friends. I love her to bits, but I didn't split the winnings. I only won £1,500, but I did get 5 numbers and the bonus ball, which I think was a really annoying that I got 6 numbers, but just not the right 6 numbers. Otherwise, I would have had a completely life-changing thing. And then I might have felt a little bit more guilty about not splitting it. But so it paid off. It paid off my student loan at the time and all that kind of stuff. So it was life-changing for me at the time. But if I won it now, it depends how much I win. I just want to spend my life traveling. But now that I've found my new vocation in life, I think I might keep doing it in the background just because I can do coaching from anywhere in the world. And half of my clients are one side of the Atlantic and half of them are the other. So I can literally do it wherever. So perhaps I could travel and still try and support and help and, give life-changing experiences to other people as well, whilst I'm also seeing a bit of the world, maybe.
Yeah. And that's kind of the way I see it too, because I could never live in just personal luxury. That's just not who I am. I like to share, give, help others grow, right? That's just part of my joy comes from those things. So sitting on the beach and being completely self-absorbed with my riches would not make me happy.
It might be all right for a couple of weeks.
No, I'd have to share it with somebody. Can you imagine just sitting on the beach by yourself and drinking martinis all by yourself in this gorgeous, you have all the money in the world? You can imagine, and I can see that in your eyes. The audience can't see it in your eyes, but I can. She's like,
Well, the next question is introvert or extrovert. Now, I think we might differ on this one as well.
I am more introverted than extroverted, but I think there's a new classification that's kind of in the middle. What are
you going to call it?
It has a name. I just forget what it's called. Ambivert or something like that. In other words, you could switch. I could be extroverted at sometimes and introverted at others. And that's kind of where I fit. I'm close enough to the middle that I can push myself to be extroverted when necessary, but I am definitely introverted.
Yeah, you tell me that. But since I've met you, you've definitely been an extrovert. You're just so bubbly and charismatic and loving and caring and sharing that the fact that actually you'd rather curl up in a ball and go and read a book in a corner, that isn't you. I think you're play acting. I'm completely 100% extrovert. Although I do actually love my own company and would be perfectly happy to sit on a beach with a book on my own
with my millions.
With my millions, but only for a certain amount of time. Then after that, I'd have to go to the local village and socialize because that's just me.
I think for me, it's more, I get the introvert part is more I can only handle people for so long and then I need a break, right? So that's where the introvert comes in. It's like, I can do it. I can be out there and I can do all those things I need to do, but there's a part of me that I have to self-care. So I have to allow myself the time to do my reflective reading and thinking and all that other fun stuff. Very, very important to my ability to being able to give on the other side of it.
And that's a really important lesson, though. And I teach that all the time in coaching, that actually self-care isn't selfish. Self-care allows you to give more generously to people. And sometimes we forget to look after ourselves. And sometimes we forget that actually we are really important, and putting ourselves first isn't a problem. We have to fill up our cup first before we can fill somebody else's. We have to put our oxygen mask on before we put anyone else's on. So I think you've kind of got it. And I think that's really important. It's a message we need to get out there to people.
100%. Yeah. And it takes a while to figure that out sometimes. You're not being selfish. It's not an act of selfishness. I think when we grow up, especially in this culture, women have a lot more, we have that sense of, we have to do and do and do. And, and even though we're trying to work and have families and do all these things, there's a point where if you just pay attention to all those outside things, you lose who you are. And then you're lost and you got to find yourself. And there's a whole years of therapy and all that fun stuff.
But not therapy. Don't do therapy. Don't do therapy. There is a fantastic place for therapists, but coaching looks forward. Coaching looks at how you build a plan to get yourself back on track and find yourself again. So, but yeah, that's really important. Okay, so leading on from that one, night in or night out?
A night in or night out? I'm probably a night in.
Okay, night in on your own, night in with friends?
Either. I definitely enjoy the comfort of a cozy environment that's not too loud and I can hear you speak versus the loud. I do like both. You know what I mean? I will do both. But if I have a choice, I'll probably pick the more intimate setting.
Nice country pub with a roaring fire, intimate setting.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I'm a night out type girl.
Yeah.
I love going out. I love a good party. Any of my friends that are listening to this, they'll know I love a good party. I get myself into trouble sometimes. So I love a good party.
Again, and that's the introvert talking, right? I'd rather be talking to 5 or 4 people than be in a crowd of 100. That's the piece of, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay, travel to the past or future?
Oh, well, I do love the idea of the whole Victorian crinolines and beautiful old dresses and that kind of era. And future is unknown, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to go.
She made these questions, by the way, so this is funny to me.
Answers first. Well, I thought I'd make it a bit more spontaneous.
I like that.
Okay. I can see the benefits of both. I like the adventure of both. I'm a bit of an adventure freak. I'm going to go future just because I don't know what it's going to hold yet. And I'm kind of excited by creating your own future and forming your own way. The past is done. The past you can't do anything about, and you're holding on to. You need to let go of what's happened in the past. You need to recognize that it's done. You have to forgive yourself for anything that went on in the past.
Learn from it and move on, right?
100% learn from it. If you're not learning,
you're staying in the same spot.
Staying in the same spot. So I'm going to learn from everything that's gone on in the past, and I'm going to travel to the future. What about you? Past or future?
That's an interesting question because there is one moment in my life that I would go back to if I had to go back. But would I choose to go back there? No.
Are you going to share what moment that was?
I can in a very vague way, but part of my history is being sexually abused. And I would go back to that moment and absolutely make sure that everyone on the planet knew at that moment what had happened so that I didn't live a life that I had to fix later.
Wow.
So
that's so brave.
But that's where I'd go. And with that knowledge, I wouldn't go back because I was only a little kid. So I wouldn't go back to the little kid. I'd go back with the knowledge and then change the situation or punch him out or something.
So that would change the whole course of your entire life.
Whole life. Absolutely 100%. I would have gotten where I am much faster if I didn't go through those experiences. And I know that, there's a huge amount of women who go through that.
Yeah.
So, and it can take, some never really get beyond it. But there is a beyond it, right? Mm-hmm. And, allowing people to know, men and women, men have experienced this too, that there is a really rich, full life where you have healed all that junk and you can just enjoy life and it's not keeping you stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is hope. But now I happen to have a very solid, I have a very strong belief system that I believe is rooted in some very strong evidence. So I'll just leave it right there. But I believe that there are very strong clues that the future is going to be outstanding. So I want to go to the future because I'd much rather go to what I personally believe to be a very good thing than, go back to a bad thing and change my life, because I believe my future is going to be good no matter what. So
I know that your future is going to be really good. I mean, to a certain extent, we're all controllers of our own destiny, aren't we? What we choose to do forms our future, how we live our lives to a certain extent. I mean, there's outside influences, but if you've got a goal and you work really hard towards that goal, you build your own roadmap. So yeah, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about working with you in the future, Ariel. I think we've got a good future together in the next few months and years. So I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see that happen as well.
Yeah. We're going to slowly share what those things are because we have some really cool, exciting stuff for you guys in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so here's one. Here's one's really culturally based then. Tea or coffee?
Oh, definitely coffee.
No, definitely tea. Trouble is, I almost have to tell the waitresses in the restaurants how I want my tea.
I'm sure you do. Just bring me the bag and the hot water
and the milk, and I'll do it my own way.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Okay, so this one's a tough one, isn't it? Because I'd love all the superpowers. I'd like to be able to fly. I'd like to be able to see into the future. I'd like to be able to see through walls. But I think if I had a superpower, I would have the skill of listening. I'd have that as a superpower. And I think as a coach, that's something that I bring very much to the party, that I try to listen really actively to my clients and understand exactly what they want with their lives and what's important to them. So yeah, I think I'd like to have the superpower of an active listener.
Okay.
What about you?
Before I go there, I want to ask you a question, if that's okay. So listening is definitely a skill, right? And it's a skill you can learn, but it's also a skill you have learned, right? Most of us listen the way we were taught what listening is, which could be good listening or bad listening. For most of us, it's not good listening. But when you say active listening and as a superpower, I mean, there was, Superman who could hear really far away when he wanted to. And then there was people who can read minds, so they really know what's going on in their head versus what's coming out of somebody's mouth.
Yeah.
So what would that mean as a superpower?
So
a little bit.
I don't want to see into other people's heads. I think it's far too chaotic to be able to read someone's mind. I think certainly my clients share with me things that they want to share with me. And it's almost intrusive to go any further than that. I think active listening gives people that safe space, gives people that time to reflect for themselves, so that what actually comes out of their mouth eventually, through building a relationship of trust and honesty with my clients as well, that they do share their innermost thoughts with me. So I don't want to go into their heads and grab things that are too personal to them, or they're just not ready to share. But by building that relationship and actually being there for them and listening to them and giving them that time and space in a non-judgmental area, I think my clients do share things with me that perhaps at the beginning of our relationship, they perhaps weren't intending to, but I think it's important to build that relationship with them. So yeah, definitely more of a kind of empathetic listening. And it's all about that relationship. So it's about building that ability for them to communicate and share their innermost thoughts in their time, their space, how they feel comfortable with it, so that we can then move on and build the kind of life that they want. And that's what coaching's all about, isn't it? It's about
skills that developing those skills. In the therapy world, it's cognitive therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you have these habits, you have these thought processes that you need to either throw away or reframe, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the coaching world, it's reframing. So it's very similar, there's the different kinds of therapy, but that to me would be if I was going to say, you need a therapist or a coach, you need to find somebody that is going to do exactly what you're talking about, who's going to help you figure out what is in your way, what are the blocks, what are those messages that you're telling yourself, and then give you the tools to make better decisions, to make better choices. And like muscles, you've got to train them.
Yeah. I think there's a common misconception about coaching, that if you go to a coach, they're going to give you all the answers. And that's not what a good coach does, because actually you're far more likely to follow through on things if you've come up with them. So a good coach will listen, a good coach will understand where you want to get to, and then they will help you to reach inside yourself and find the answers that you actually want, but give you, and this is where I think I try really hard to give people tools and strategies. So they come away from a 12-week session with me with a whole toolkit full of things that they can use. So learning how to reframe, learning how to not listen to those negative self-talk, learning about imposter syndrome, and actually that everybody suffers from imposter syndrome and that we never feel good enough. We always feel like we're a fraud. But just working out those tools and strategies that work for that person, because none of us are the same. And it would be a horrendous world if we were all just carbon copies of each other. So something that works for one person isn't going to work. And that's why this relationship works so well, because we do come from really good, different perspectives. And something that works for you doesn't work for me. Something that works for one client doesn't work for another. But it's being able to give them a range of strategies that they can go, do you know what? That's really good. I like that. I can make that work in my life. So yeah, there you go. Did that answer the question about my superpower and my active listening? I don't know whether it did. I think I went off tangent.
I believe it did very nicely, actually.
Okay. So tell me, what about you? What's your superpower, or what would you like your superpower? You've got hundreds of superpowers, but what would you like your ultimate
one that I definitely do not have that I would really love is the ability to fly.
Yay.
So now I could always get one of those low flying gliders, because to me that's the zone of space I would like to fly in, is like right above the tree lines.
Nice.
There's just this neat way, look, when you're above and there's freedom to it. There's a lot of songs through my life that, if I could fly away, there's just certain situations in life that if you could just fly would be so much nicer than, I got to get in the car and, so anyway, I wouldn't spend thousands of dollars on a stupid airline. I just go there.
Just go there. I like that. I think it probably gives you, I think you should be able to fly. Let's see when in your future you might be able to fly, but take your camera with you, because I think flying will give you a completely different perspective on life.
Actually, there was a photographer, just quickly, but there was a photographer who had developed a disease that his life was gonna change. And he knew he had like a few years before it would change. And he and his son got on those ultralights, so the low flying planes. They both had one, and they literally flew across America.
Wow.
In those planes. They had a whole route planned, and they both are photographers, so they shot from up above, and they have a whole book on it. And the experience was about the father and the son, and he was they're grown, sharing this last amazing epic trip together and then sharing it with the world.
Wow.
So I was like, what a cool thing, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I'd really like to do that. I'd really like to. I absolutely love flying. I love getting on a plane and flying. I love the whole experience of it. I know some people find it terrifying, but I did jump out of a plane once. I have skydived once. And for someone that, did you not know that?
No.
For someone that absolutely abhors roller coasters, I pay so much money to take my children to the Universal Studios, and then I won't go on any of the rides because I just abhor them. But then, as one of my friends just said, "Oh, I want to jump out of a plane," I went, "Oh, I'll come with you." I think that might have been after I'd had several glasses of the whole red, white wine thing. But I did do it, and actually, I loved it. Absolutely adored it, and I would do it again. In fact, I'm probably going to do it at Christmas when my kids come out from the UK. And probably take them skydive. So, yeah.
Okay, now I have a question, real quick.
Okay.
What do you not like about roller coasters?
It's the spinny thing that makes me just feel so sick. I'm really happy with those kind of VR type roller coasters, like the ones in the Harry Potter like part of Universal. But it's that sick wrenching. Yeah, no. And are you a roller coaster person?
Oh, 100%. I love roller coasters. And there's one actually that the way it tips you in Florida, I think it's in SeaWorld. It's called the Manta, but it's like you're flying. I mean, seriously, you put your arms out, your feet are in the back, and it's really like you're flying through this experience, not stuck to a chair and, whatever. So you might actually like that one.
I'm just going to say I might like that. I might like it if there's that kind of feeling of freedom that's kind of more of a kind of, it's when you kind of get jerked and just
I don't like it.
Upside down and then around the corner and up and down. No.
Well, those are like the wooden old roller coasters. The newer ones glide much better, and they're more like flying through the air.
Well, my kids went on the one that was the Hulk.
Oh, that one shoots you out.
Yeah. No, I went in lots of ways.
I kind of liked that.
Wish you were videoing this because my facial expressions. Anyway, there you go.
Okay, we all have a couple more. Let's see. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only bring 3 things, oh my gosh, what would they be? 3 things.
3 things.
That's it.
Okay, so I did think about this one beforehand. So whilst I'm talking, you're going to have to think about what your 3 things are going to be. But so obviously, I would take a picture of my family. I can't take my family with me. That's a given, isn't it? I can't take them. So I just have to take a photograph of them. I left my 2 boys, they're grown up, but I left them both back in the UK. They're at university together, they live in the same house, and they've got their own little support structure, and that gives mummy a lot of the sense of security that they've got each other. Yeah. But I miss them every single day, and it's really hard when you're not with members of your family and there's 4,000 miles apart, and all you want to do is just give him a hug. So I find that really hard. So I would definitely take a photograph of my family with me. And I actually think probably if you ask that question to most people would want something that they've got of their family with them. Then I would take a blanket. Now, even in Florida, I sit on the sofa of an evening watching the television or reading a book or whatever, and I have a blanket on, and it's
a blanket. I thought you said a blind kit. And I was like, what the heck is a blind kit?
Okay.
It was just, I heard it funny. A blanket. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say to me that, what's a blanket? No, a blanket. I like, what else do you call them?
No, it's a blanket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Okay. I just thought we'd find another word. Okay.
I just heard it different.
So that comfort of wrapping yourself up in a blanket and being warm and snuggled and safe, that I love a blanket. So I'd have to take a blanket with me. And then boringly, probably either a good book, and it would probably be a non-fiction book so I could continue learning, because I think it's really important that all the way through our lives we continue to learn and develop and take other people's perspective of life into consideration. I think that's really important, to be able to hear another perspective and maybe not agree with it at all, but be able to understand it and learn from it, I guess. But I might take a pen and pencil or a pen and paper pad and do some journaling. And then if I ever got rescued from the desert island, I could sell my memoirs.
Well, that was 5 things, but that's okay. If you brought an iPad, you could have brought books, but then you have nothing to plug it in, so you'd have to bring a solar. It gets complicated when you really think about it.
It does. Go on then, tell me. And can I guess one of the things you're going to take?
Go ahead.
You're going to take your camera with you?
Probably not, actually.
Oh, okay. Go on then.
Because if I only can take 3 things, it's about life. It's not about enjoying life. It's about surviving, right? So,
you're going to with some real practical things now, aren't you? And I'm going to bring you just a blanket.
Well, a blanket is practical, especially if it was waterproof, because it could become a tent. And then you won't have to look for a cave. So I definitely would bring, and there's one thing that absolutely 100% would have to be with me, but it is a good book. It's a very big book. It's actually a collection of 66 books, but I've been reading it every year, not fully every year, but I read it almost every day, like for the last 15, 20 years. So, and no matter how much I read it, I learn. So like you were talking about, it's not a book you can pick up and read and I know everything. It's like the book, the more you read it, the more depth you see, and the more wherever you are in life, you hear it different. It's like one of those kind of books. So that would definitely come with me. And then I would definitely bring a camping kit.
Yeah, but that's cheating.
Okay, so I would bring a shovel.
Okay.
I'm afraid a shovel will be pretty important. That's the practical side of me.
Notice you didn't take a camping stove with you.
No, I mean, I know how to make fire. There's, I'm hoping there's trees on this place, or at least pond fronds I can cook with. And I can take a stick and turn it into a fishing pole if I need to. So I'm thinking practical here. Okay, one more thing. What would I bring? Can you bring a lifetime supply of something? Because I'd bring a lifetime supply of water. You are surrounded by water, but it's salty. You don't really want to be drinking that. Anyway,
no, I don't think either of us are alive, to be honest. I think And definitely not if we do that whole naked survival thing. Have you seen that program, Naked Survival? What's that all about? No.
I have no idea.
I hate bugs. I hate anything that's creepy crawly. So I'm not going to survive on it. And my brother-in-law is really practical. He's kind of like, he's a carpenter and he can put his hand to anything. And I always say, in the case of a nuclear war or some kind of disaster, he's the man that I want there. And his wife is also, she's can grow, she can cook, that kind of stuff. So I think me and my husband would we wouldn't survive. We just need to take them with us. We need survivors with us.
It's interesting is you brought up something that's pretty interesting is I was just having this conversation the other day, but when life throws us things, we often think, oh, I could never handle that. And then it happens. And the same thing always happens is you handle it. Maybe with tears, maybe screaming, but you still handle it. You still get to, there's always another side of whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, the more we know that, the more fear becomes less paralyzing. So even if you were stranded on an island and you didn't have your three things, you could handle it.
Yeah, and I think, and then if you got off that desert island and a few years later found yourself back on another desert island, you'd have learned from that situation. I think that's important, is that we just need to learn from every experience, that every bit of rubbish that gets thrown at us, we just need to learn from it. And that's exciting. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. We're going to
I've learned a lot about you, Ariel.
Yeah, I learned a lot about you. And hopefully the audience enjoyed our little crazy conversation. And we are going to come back with some of the intentions of the broadcast is we're going to really talk about why you matter in business, right? This didn't sound like that because we're talking about who we are. So we want you to know who we are. So next week, I'm going to interview Miriam, talk about her life coach, how that works, what it is, and what her approach is, because that's, to me, the thing that really makes her strong. And then the week after, she's going to interview me, and I'm going to share with you about how the personal branding photography sessions really help women on a totally different level, but really accomplishing the same thing. It's all about self-confidence, feeling good about yourself. So it's a very similar thing, but from a different perspective. And then we are going to share with you something really cool, and we'll talk about that in episode 4. And that is going to be something that you are currently working on, which excites you. That is, we're going to share you what we are working on that really is exciting to us, that we hope not only will the audience love, but anyone who joins us will just really benefit from.
Absolutely. And it's really exciting. And I can't wait to share it with everybody. Are you going to tell them?
We could give them a little bit. Go ahead. Give them a little bit.
So perhaps we ought to say where the idea came from. Well, you share. Where did the idea originally come from? That this is something that would benefit a lot of women, especially women in business, especially women. Can I just ask a question here?
Yes.
Can you hear my dog whining?
Yes, but that's okay.
Okay, good.
She has a dog that whines. It's just, it's life. We have to deal with it, right?
I'm really sorry. I just wanted to know the soundtrack to the podcast is my dog going, no. Okay, good. So where did the idea come from in the first place, Ariel?
Like all good ideas, it came from inspiration from others. So I went on a personal branding session myself about a year ago, where I put myself in front of a camera, which was very uncomfortable, very, none of us like to be photographed. That's just a fact. But I knew for my business, I needed to do that. So I sat with several different business owners. We went through an experience together that was mostly focused on photography and getting your shoots for your, basically, shoot in a day. You get a year's worth of content that you can share yourself out slowly.
Right.
And that was a great experience. And I wanted to personally give people more.
Okay.
Which is where you come in, because what I don't have in my skill set, Miriam does. So together we are creating retreats for women in business that are going to be fun, educational, and you will come out of those not only with, marketing material for your brand, but also clarity, all kinds of things. So we will share that with you as we go. Anything else you want to add to that? Did I tell too much?
No. I'm excited by it. And I think if I wasn't part of your team, I would love to be involved in it, because I think it's going to be, as you say, educational, collaborative. It's going to build women up. And but as you say, end up with them having something that they can definitely use. But not only will their brand be stronger as a result of it, but I think they as people will be stronger as a result of it. And it's really exciting, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Stronger, more confident, more clear, all that fun stuff. It is exciting, and we can't wait to get it rocking and rolling. But thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. It's been fun. See you next episode. After all, it is your brand, your story, and your success. Because Ariel and I know you matter in your business.
Thank you for listening to the You Matter in Business podcast. Please follow, share, like, and comment. We would love to hear from you. This podcast is sponsored by Ariel Faith Photography and Enrich Life Coaching. The show notes provide more information on how to contact Ariel and Miriam and any guest speakers who share in our journey together.